reason for stepping out on the side of the street when they normally wouldn't. We've seen them giving people tickets when they are in a bus lane. We later learned, we checked the Virginia law. It's legal. There's even bus stops where citizens, taxi cabs, buses can stop. They're giving them tickets there. So they don't want you here. They're scared of you being here. We're going to be breaking that down here. But Joe Bannister, I want to hand the mic over to you. For the audience out there watching, since you've been here last night and today, what is your perspective on what you've seen? Take your time.
Thank you, Alex. Well, of course, I'm really glad that I came. And there's quite a big group there. I think we're all happy to see that. But I think with the bigger picture, since we know that the NSA and everyone is monitoring all the electronic traffic that's going on, that's probably one of the reasons why the mainstream media has to come out and report what's going on, because they can see the traffic that's going on electronically throughout the country and the world. And they realize that if they don't come out and cover it, they're going to have even all the more egg on their face. So I think for all the people that might think, gee, it'd be nice if we would have had 10,000 people, 1 million people, I think the collaborative effort that's going on electronically and in cyberspace is the reason that that this is an absolutely successful effort that we're all making.
I'm going to go back to you, but that's why I love Joe. That is such a central point. We have had millions of video views the last 3 days, just our little operation, not just the regular listeners. Other sites are having millions of views together. You're right. Everything is digital now. And we had 200 yesterday, around 500 today. Most of the crowd I saw yesterday, I didn't see today. People are coming through one day, like Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keepers. They're here tonight, and tomorrow, part of the day, they're gone. They've got more stuff to do. But we're going to have thousands come through. But that is just one issue as they try to block people from protesting and from exposing this, that this is in hundreds of publications, including more than 10 mainstream publications in the U.S. This is everything the Bilderberg Group has fought against. They said this didn't exist. Joe, continue.
Well, and I really like that point that you keep making. I mean, you can document ever since the 50s when Jim Tucker was first, without an internet, without anything more than a pad and a pencil, reporting on what the Bilderberg Group was doing ever since their name came about from the original hotel. So we can document 40 and 50 years and more of mainstream media telling the world that this group doesn't exist. You're crazy for thinking so. And I think people should look at that evidence to see that it's just another one of their demonization tactics, which does unfortunately work well, to try to show you as someone who's got a screw loose. The IRS actually is very famous for using that very same tactic. That you must be crazy if you think there's a problem with the income tax, crazy that the IRS might be heavy-handed with the public. So these tactics come up again and again and again, and people need to recognize that and see that when they're calling people names, those people, you should at least listen to what they have to say. And I think you make that point very well all the time.
Other observations, Joe? I mean, I'm asking the questions here. What do you have to say? What do you think? What are the highlights you witnessed today?
Well, again, trying to always look at the silver lining around a cloud. Those gentlemen.
Break in our, looks like we've taken a break in our Skype connection. Let's go over one of the stories from today. You turn to me here. The Bilderberger protester arrested for crossing a street. Security crackdown surrounding elite confab testifies. Yeah, thank you. The security crackdown surrounding the Bilderberg Group confab in Chantilly, Virginia intensified today after a protester was arrested for little more than crossing the street. Rob Dew has stepped out. We are trying to get our Skype connection back here to Alex and the great Patriot. Other things that happened today at Bilderberg. Are you there, Alex?
Yes, it was due. Now it's John Bound.
That's right, sir. Yes, sir. It's a cornucopia. We are.
I like that. I like that. Hey, tell me, John, what do you make of all the developments today?
Oh, I thought it was incredibly intense watching the coverage. I'm really amazed at not only the turnout, but the turnout of the media. The fact that I don't think people are going to realize maybe for a week or 2 weeks just how important it is that that level of media came out. The Associated Press is the media, the source, the seed of the mainstream media.
Exactly. We forced the AP, Washington Post, and others. That's a big victory. And again, if this wasn't the real top of the capstone or very close to it, they would just admit it exists. Doesn't that discredit them, Joe Bannister, that they said none of this existed? And we talked about that earlier, but now it's admitted. I mean, that is such a big deal. Why do you think, as a criminal investigator, why would they try to deny they existed? Why is that so important to them?
Well, if they don't deny it exists, then there's two alternating points of view. And I find the same thing has happened to me, where either what Joe Bannister has to say or what he's learned has some merit to it, or what the IRS has to say has some merit to it, but they're in conflict. So somebody's telling the truth and someone's not. And so if Joe Bannister, for example, goes to prison, well, then he must have been wrong. It's easy, then the public's going to think that, and then the public think, well, I guess the IRS is right, because the IRS is out there running around. Joe Bannister's in jail, or Sherry Jackson, or Erwin Schiff, or all the different people throughout that time. One thing that I noticed today, it's a very sublime event, but think about it in terms of people sometimes get afraid because they're so powerful, they know everything. You decided to go from the entrance of the hotel, where the driveway is, and change things up a little bit. Walk down the street to where you knew from probably being inside the hotel where they were actually meeting. And it was where the part in the fence was all blacked out. And
that's the conference room wing. Yeah.
Right. And so I was looking at the cops, as you just say, hey, everybody, let's go down here. We only went down about a quarter of a block. But to me, that little change up, where all the cops, there's like 20 cops there at the driveway, like, hey, we're here, you're not coming in. We just do a little change up, walk down the street, and you got the bullhorns, you got the sirens coming out of the bullhorns, and probably really disrupted what was going on inside there. The slightest little change up, just walking down the street.
Exactly. They're not all powerful. We've just got to be individuals. That brings them down.
Exactly. So that was a little thing that I saw the expressions on some of the cops' faces, like, uh-oh, what do we do now? All we did was walk down the street.
Well, that's part of the game. They all set up there to draw us to the point on the map. If you look at Google Maps, that's the furthest away. That entrance is way out, like 250 yards. Again, John Bound there reporting that entrance is.
You're having a storm out there, aren't you? Are you experiencing weather out there?
Yes, we are experiencing weather. They had tornado warnings and a lot of rain here. Something that's good that Texas certainly needs, John. How are we coming across to you there? We're fine here. How are you?
It's breaking up due to the weather, but if I can, if your Skype doesn't go out on us, I wanted to ask you about the police presence after the radio show. Were there any more incidents?
The police presence, we were told there were more arrests after we left. We left about 4 hours ago. We're going to go back down there now. And look, bottom line, they don't want to be identified because they're illegally violating the Logan Act. You had a bunch of foreign banks and other interests meeting with politicians who are basically their agents. And Hillary got fined in the mid-90s. It's kind of like Fast and Furious. They're caught shipping guns into Mexico, hand grenades, to blame the Second Amendment. Those memos come out, and then nobody gets in trouble. There's kind of this point, this Rubicon, where no matter what they do, and that's what happens with tyranny. At a certain point, they get away with it, and then the sky's the limit. That's why things are accelerating now with NDAA, re-education camps, all of this. In fact, Joe, give us your take on that. Everything we talked about and warned people about, I was interviewing you, 14 years ago. It's all unfolding now. And sure, some people are waking up, but others are kind of just getting scared by it. But what do you make of just the globalists coming out of the closet with their tyranny? Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, I think it goes back to what I was recognizing earlier, that the unfortunately, there is so much monitoring of what we're doing. They have all these AI, programs that can really give them definitive answers quickly. And so I think the powers that be see that it's got to be a sprint to the finish line, that they have very little time to contain this. And I presume, and I learned a lot from you and your show and your crew, that, the whole internet scheme was about being able to read our minds and be able to read the collective mind of the body politic. So they see exactly how things are progressing.
They see the awakening.
Exactly, they see it. And I've always wondered, I mean, frankly, the devil, those who believe in the devil, he's a fallen angel. And I don't know if angels are able to read, or even fallen angels, able to read people's minds. And
no, they're not. The devil has to intuit.
Right, or utilize whatever human beings can create,
yes,
in order to be able to read that mind. So it's like cyber mind that has to, if they can't read our minds.
Exactly. The devil is trying to create an artificial omnipresent system. If you don't believe in the devil, folks, you haven't studied. Everything these people do is to try to become God. But it's a wicked, twisted counterfeit. Very well said.
Exactly. So I think that's why they realize it's such a sprint to the finish line. And that's what we're in. We're in this, death race. And that's why it's so important to exponentially increase our efforts. We want the other side, to see how fast our side is increasing, because what will happen is they'll make more and more mistakes, and they can't stop an exponential growth in knowledge. And that's why, what you and your crew do is so very important.
Well, please don't compliment us. We're nothing. We're just vessels. But it is about survival of the innocents. I look at my children, and it's beyond anger now. I just think, how could anybody want to hurt innocents like this? And I actually, that's why I don't want people complimenting me, because I'm weak and everything. And I just think about how I know how evil this is, and then I realize I'm not even doing enough to fight it. I don't like to be complimented, but I realize there's others out there who don't feel like you're powerful or special, so you don't do anything because, Joe Bannister, Alex Jones, Ron Paul, countless others are out there. Folks, this is many hands make light work, and it is a death race. Like you said, this is real. These people want re-education camps. Australia